My ex and I were together for almost 20 years. We never got married because it never felt necessary, and we were child-free. I had problems with birth control, so he chose vasectomy. I found out that he cheated on me 3 years ago, and I left him. He got with his affair partner, and 6 months later, I heard that they were married. However, I discovered I was pregnant with my current boyfriend a year into dating. Even though we still weren't there in a relationship, we thought we could make it happen. And sure enough, we're very happy and love our little family very much. My ex kept texting me on occasions like birthdays and holidays. I never answered, but when he heard about my daughter, he sent me a lengthy and hurtful text about me cheating on him, and he never texted me again. I never answered. A few months later, my ex left us forever. This was about 4 months ago. He had liquidated all of his assets before he was gone. He sold his house, etc., and everything is liquid assets. His wife is apparently giving birth any time now. I was surprised. It's all speculation on my part, but I don't think she knew he couldn't have children. I know he wanted his vasectomy to be a secret from his parents because they would freak out. A solicitor contacted me to tell me that I inherited my ex's estate, $700,000. He had left everything to me, besides some to his parents' pension and his nephew. I got a letter from him apologizing for what he did, saying that he loved me and wished me and my family happiness, and he wanted to help with that. Now his wife and parents are furious and demand that I leave them everything. I don't know. Am I the idiot if I kept it because this is what I want and what he wanted? Not the idiot. He knew that his present wife had cheated on him. He left everything to you for that reason. Go no contact and block them all. Give them nothing at all. You're not making this decision. It was him. No need for them to blame you. You were with him for 20 years supporting him. I'm assuming he made some or most of this inheritance when you were the one who was supporting and building a life with him. You might still be in this shared life if the mistress wasn't in the picture, not to mention the whole vasectomy and baby mess. I'm not surprised he didn't leave anything to a liar and cheater and a baby that belongs to another man. Yep, that wife is going to have to prove that the baby was biologically his if she wants to contest the will, and I have a feeling she won't want to go there. He left the money to you. It's yours. He even sent a letter explaining why he gave it to you. Girl, wow. All my exes just gave me trauma and tears. At least you got the money. I disagree. A vasectomy can fail. It doesn't necessarily mean the wife cheated. Sorry for your loss, but nothing in this story indicates why he would leave nothing to his current wife. If that's his child, chances are you'll feel better about yourself if you do something for the baby. But that doesn't have to happen immediately. The baby's parents and grandparents can look out for him now. When your head is clearer, then you can think about whether you want to put money into a trust for educational needs or something. Agree. Leaving her something would be the right thing here. Plus, that woman likely wouldn't have had a kid with him if she knew he would bequeath you everything. I strongly advise giving her something so you don't destroy her life. I only say this because I, not the exact same thing, was put into a similar situation. And man, oh man, I feel so much better doing the right thing. I think about it a lot. You are the idiot if you don't share it with them. But is that child even his? Before you give them any money, get a paternity check. Not just because of the money, but his poor parents may be being duped, and it's unfair on them. Also, the child has a right to know who their parent really is. You should tell the parents his secret before they dig in deeper with this broad. It'll hurt much later than it will now. They should know the truth so that they don't invest too much time and energy into what's not their grandchild. Mini update. Okay, maybe I should send something like this to his parents. While X and I shared almost a whole life together, we were each other's soulmates and best friends, and you've been like parents to me. We know him well enough to know that he would never do something like this to his own blood. I will now break my promise to him and tell you that X had a vasectomy around 2008. If he hadn't told you or his wife, I understand why he left this will. If he had already told his wife and you, then I apologize. You can contact me via a lawyer moving forward. I, 45 male, have been married to my wife, 42, for 13 years. I have a stepson, Alex, not his real name, nearly adult, who I've raised ever since he was a toddler. We may not be blood related, but he calls me Dad. I raised him as my son. I am his dad, no questions asked. Now, I've never personally met his biological dad. Still, as far as I know, he basically completely abandoned his wife and kid. He gave all custody to my wife, for God knows why, leaving my now wife homeless. Like I said, I haven't met him, but even though I didn't know him personally, of course I had resentment towards him. How can someone leave his own wife and kid behind? But I know I have bias. Now Alex's 18th birthday is coming up in a few weeks, and my wife posted something about it on social media. I love to comment on it, and I guess that's how the deadbeat was able to find my account. He messaged me, asking to meet his son for his 18th birthday. Though the message was directed to both my wife and me, I don't really understand why he messaged me specifically, but he said we didn't have to introduce him as Alex's father. I think Alex knows I'm not his biological father. My wife is completely neutral in this decision and has left it up to me to decide. And honestly, I don't want him to meet Alex. I'm Alex's dad. That deadbeat represents absolutely nothing. But yes, a small part of me is also scared that Alex will start to consider that deadbeat his dad. That's why I'm asking, am I the idiot if I took that experience away from my son? If I didn't let my son meet his biological dad? You are the idiot. This is something you need to let your son decide. You tell him his dad reached out and wants to meet him, and then you let him determine if he wants to or not. Your son will be 18, and his bio dad can reach out to him at that point. Do you want his bio dad telling him that he asked you guys to see him, but you kept him from him? That would probably just cause more issues. I know you're nervous, but I don't know anyone who's had a loving family home, and when a bio parent shows up, the child just says, screw the person who raised them. He's still going to be your son, and you're still going to be dad to him. I agree with this. I can also speak from personal experience, similar to what OP is going through now. It's tough. You have no reason to like or even respect this person and want to protect your kid from being hurt. But in the end, it's not your call. You have to give them the choice. And if they do choose to meet them, prepare them as best you can for it. I really hate when people use a major event, like a milestone birthday, to reconnect. Even if bio dad isn't introduced as dad, other party members will recognize him. Alex will ask why there's a random person there. It'll come out anyway. Bio dad's just going to make the party about him. The best advice is to tell the man to meet his son after the birthday party and contact Alex on his own. OP's only move is to prepare Alex for the possibility of contact. I have a coworker who loves being engaged. She's the quintessential typical bride-to-be. She has her wedding planned to the smallest detail and always talks about it. She's the type to share mood boards and swatches with us during lunch. This isn't something that bothers me, but I wanted to paint a picture for context. I actually liked talking to her about her wedding. The issue recently was that she was sharing with us about her honeymoon destination. It's a cute seaside city, and I thought it sounded great. I shared it with my husband, and we decided that we'd love to take a vacation like that too. Because of our itinerary, we decided to visit a different but very similar city in the same country. Think San Diego versus Santa Barbara if you're in America. When I returned from my trip, my coworkers were excited to see pictures and hear about the trip, and I also shared some chocolates that I had brought back. The entire time my coworker was kind of icy, and I finally found out it was because she thought I stole her idea for a vacation. She said that since I've gone on a similar vacation, I've stolen the magic of coming back to talk to our coworkers about it. Even though it's a different place, she says it's similar enough that it was kind of crappy for me to take the attention away when she's been planning her trip for a long time. I don't feel like I did anything wrong since we went to a different city and did different activities that my coworker talked about. She likes sporty things like hiking, whereas I visited museums and dined out more. But she's so upset She's talking about changing the destination of her honeymoon entirely. So I feel like I'm missing something. Please let me know if I was an idiot, if I need to apologize. I've stolen the magic of coming back to talk to our coworkers about it? Because as everyone knows, that's the really important part of a honeymoon, bragging about it later to the people you work with. And did you go the same year she's getting married? 'Cause it's her wedding year, her honeymoon year. How could you? Your coworker just has severe main character syndrome, and you are not the idiot. What's the point of being a special princess for a few days if you can't show everyone just how special you are? But for real, needing to be seen at all times as the special person to this level sounds exhausting and expensive. Social media is a disease. Experiencing her honeymoon is less important than photographing and presenting it later to a rapt audience. I, 49 male, have 4 kids, twin boys both 27, one girl 25, and another son 21. This post is about my youngest son, Jack. Since they were children, I promised my kids 2 things. 1, I'd fully pay for all their college expenses, housing, tuition, food, etc. And 2, once they graduate college, I'll buy them a car. I kept that promise for all my kids, except with Jack, and now I want to know if I'm an idiot for that. I paid for Jack's college expenses, but I'm refusing to buy him a car. Below are some of the reasons why. I co-signed my name on the lease for Jack's room that he rents with a friend, and I sent Jack his portion of the rent every month. The friend started taking advantage of my name on the lease and stopped paying for rent too, knowing I would cover the amount because I didn't want missed payments on my credit score. I asked Jack multiple times to ask his roommate to pay his portion, but the boy didn't care to even respond to me, and I ended up paying rent for 6 months of his friend's rent too, until I fully solved the problem by getting my name out of the lease. Jack has a very rude and entitled attitude. He speaks to us like we're his low-performing employees. The only time he contacts us is when he wants money and goes no contact otherwise, and we don't know what we ever did to him to treat us this way. Last year, when my wife had to be hospitalized, all of my kids flew back home to be there for their mother. Jack didn't want to, but one of his siblings bought him a ticket and talked him into flying out. Instead of being glad to be beside his very sick mother at the hospital, he spent the entire visit making everyone run errands for him. His sister had to cook a very specific type of meal for him. We had to drive him to the gym at a very specific time he demanded, etc., and acted like it was one massive inconvenience for him to have to fly out. I even talked to my other kids about whether we were terrible parents that caused Jack to act this way, but all my other kids don't know why he ended up so entitled and spoiled. The rest of my kids are incredibly different from Jack. We all get along with each other and care about one another. For the rest of my kids, I've spent maybe $100K on each kid's total college expenses. With Jack's careless spending habits and unwillingness to save us any money, Jack's college years cost me $180K. So I refused to buy the promised car. Jack's upset and has gone to his grandparents, complaining about me. My mother-in-law already hates me and is now calling me an idiot, saying I'm playing favorites because I bought everyone a car and not Jack. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. If I were being petty, I'd buy a junk or used car for him. If he wants to be so technical about holding you to a promise, well, that's his car. Tell him the rest of the budget was eaten up by the $80K. Time for him to learn the consequences of his actions. This, or tell him you'll give him $5K to buy a used car. He needs to collect the 6 months of no rental payments from his roommate or take him to small claims court if he wants a nicer car. Show him the bottom line of what was spent on each child, then ask him why he thinks he deserves more than his siblings. Also, learn how to tell him no. This is something he should have been taught as a toddler. Mother-in-law can buy him a freaking car if she cares that much. You've done more for him than most parents even dream of. He's rude, spoiled, and entitled, and he doesn't deserve anything more from you. He's already getting so much handed to him and clearly doesn't appreciate it. Don't continue to give anyone who doesn't appreciate the value and worth of the help. That boy needs a wake-up call before he continues the way he's going and messes up his life. I treat my family to dinners out and other events fairly often. My sister Charlotte recently moved closer to me and our parents. Before then, I only saw her and my nephew Leo for the holidays. I invited Charlotte to a family dinner out, and it was an absolute disaster because of Leo. Charlotte called me while she was driving to the restaurant. I could hear Leo yelling in the background. Charlotte asked Leo to wait for a few minutes until she was done calling me, and then she would give him her phone. She wasn't doing anything actually to discipline Leo. My nephew's behavior was no better inside the restaurant. Leo is a pre-tween, and yet he was acting like some 2-year-old. He was jumping up and down the booths, yelling to get Charlotte's attention. He threw bread at another patron service dog. My dad took away the bread after Leo ignored the first warning, and Leo threw a tantrum. People were staring at us, and I would have been too. Leo's behavior was completely unacceptable. While all of this was happening, Charlotte just said things like, "Oh, Leo, you can play on my phone," and wasn't doing anything, actually, to discipline my nephew. While we were outside leaving, and Leo was with his grandparents out of earshot, I told Charlotte that this could never happen again. I told Charlotte that she needs to get Leo under control, and until she does, he's not welcome at any events in public that I host for the family. Charlotte said I was a horrible person for excluding a child, and to think about how I would have felt at his age to know I wasn't welcome at family gatherings. If Charlotte doesn't want to hurt Leo's feelings, then she can not mention the family events that I host or do something to discipline Leo. Our parents understandably asked not to get involved in our disagreement. Friends are divided because some are saying Leo shouldn't even be in restaurants until Charlotte gets him under control. Others claim what I described Leo doing was normal kid behavior. Am I the idiot for not allowing my sister's son to come? Not the idiot. You were right to ban him. On behalf of everyone who pays to eat out, thank you. Even when I was 7 and had undiagnosed and therefore unmedicated ADHD, I was better behaved in restaurants. Your friends who said Leo shouldn't even be in restaurants until Charlotte gets him under control are entirely correct. Your sister's being the idiot to her son, though. He needs appropriate guidance on how to behave. He may be neurodivergent and/or be struggling because he missed out on socialization milestones because of the pandemic. As a mental health professional, my colleagues and I are seeing that the full effects of that on young people are only just beginning to manifest, let alone be fully understood. I also wonder if the sister has gaps in her parenting skill development due to the global issue. OP, you banned the wrong person. Why does Charlotte get to keep coming, since she's the one facilitating and enabling this behavior? She doesn't seem very interested in parenting. Giving her a reason to go out without her son just seems like rewarding her lack of attention to him and his behavior. Plus, it settles the blame with the kid, and that just isn't where it should be. You're right, Charlotte. We shouldn't ban a child from family gatherings because this isn't his fault. It's yours. Neither of you's welcome until you've worked out how to handle this behavior in a way that doesn't negatively impact the family and the general public. I encourage you to seek out help if this is something you can't handle, but you're hurting your son's future by allowing this to continue. Charlotte needs to nip this situation in the bud now. His behavior won't improve as he ages.